Thank you so much for joining us today for the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Here on the Pastor's Potluck, it's similar to a normal potluck where you might get something that you want and there may be something that you just want to pass up altogether. And that's okay. There's something here for everybody. Our goal here is to encourage you and maybe in the process entertain you. If you're ready, let's dig in. So, we have a good episode today.
Yeah.
You have no idea what I'm going to ask.
I don't. All I know is that yesterday we were trying to figure out what to talk about. And was it Cheryl? I think it was Cheryl. Was like, do something about like all of your favorite things.
Yep.
And the only thing that went through my head was The Sound of Music. And these are a few of my favorite things.
Oh, yeah. I remember that song.
It's the only thing that went through. I'm the counterpart of Scott. Scott was the things you don't like. I'm the things that you do like.
you're the yin to his yang.
Yeah, that brother and sister duo.
Yeah.
We're just balancing each other out, I guess.
So it's one of these, like, what are your favorites? Some things that you turn to, like, what are some, just basically opening. And I think I'm going to save these questions and go through it. Everything, because it's like getting to know you, but also like some, like, you know, we're gonna know some favorites, but just kind of like what help, like what makes Jess tick, like what makes you tick, like what, like some things that you are drawn towards. But it's a good one. It'll be good and it's fun. It's essentially like an episode of nothing but mystery meat, but not like the random,
is cereal soup,
not the craziness that comes out of this jar. Like,
but we're gonna still do a craziness from that jar.
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
But so the first question. What's that?
I feel a lot of pressure right now.
No, easy. We're starting off easy.
Okay, good.
I think there's like one or two that'll make you think. And,
oh goodness.
But what do you listen to whenever you get in the car and you are driving? Like, what is the one thing that you are always looking to put on and listen to?
I'm just music. It's just whatever's on my playlist.
Okay.
So I just shuffle. Right now, I'm all about Christmas music. That is all that's been in my car for the last probably month. Don't judge me. But Christmas music mainly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm listening to right now. But normally it's anything. Like whatever is on my playlist is what's there. I literally probably have the most random music. There was a meme that went around and it said, if you can't go from like Christian music to rap, I don't want you in my car. Like that's me. Like you have to be able to go from like 90s rap and R&B and country to like Christian music to like I don't know what else.
Pretty much everything in between. I have a playlist like that
part
as well. It's called Music to Clean To. And we use Apple Music. And I've got 450 songs in this thing, I think is what it's at right now, around there. And it's the same thing. It's from oldies from like the 40s and 50s, kind of like the jazz and the big band, to 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, to some newer stuff. It's got rap.
I also love music. I know you don't, but I love musicals.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I love musicals. So I do have like some soundtracks on there. So like I have The Greatest Showman. I love The Greatest Showman. I have that whole soundtrack on there. I have the Encanto soundtrack on there. I've got Landon and Olivia love zombies, and so I have the zombie soundtracks on there. So sometimes those songs will come on. I don't change them. I'll leave them. I will rock out. I don't care. But I'm the crazy person that like people probably think I've lost my mind when I'm in the car because I'm like the band. I do it all. Like actually, so for Christmas last year or the year before, I can't remember, my mom got me that carpool karaoke mic.
Yeah.
It is the best thing ever. Some friends and I, we went road tripping like, I don't know, a year and a half ago to Lynchburg, Virginia. And we used that carpool karaoke mic the entire 4.5 hours to Lynchburg. It was the best thing ever.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It was. Well, we took it when we went to Atlanta, when we went to the Drive conference. I'm pretty sure we took it then. And
I didn't ride with y'all.
Nope, you didn't. You said you didn't want to.
Nope. couldn't
So
do it.
he missed out on lots of fun because we were singing Disney tunes that day on the way home. I'm pretty sure that Nicole probably thought we had lost our minds. We were singing Disney and 90s pop and
Well, how many of us went to the Drive conference? There was, 18 of us maybe?
something like that.
And there was only 3 guys?
Yeah.
That...
I think there were 8 girls in our van, and it was
so it may have been like 12 of us but still.
There were 8 of us in our van, 8 or 9, and we were all rocking out.
Yeah.
Like, rocking out in the van. But that's my thing. Like, when I get in the car, I want music. I don't want a podcast. Sorry, but I don't. It's not my thing. But I don't want a podcast. I don't want any of that. Like, I want music. I want to be able to sing. I want to be able to just drive and go.
Yeah. I think for me, it's like it just depends on what mood I'm in. If I'm like really, really, really like craving knowledge, then obviously a podcast. Or if I want to laugh, if I'm just having a good day and I just want to keep that momentum going, then I'll put on like a funny podcast.
See, that's just
with
not my
like
thing.
comedians or something like that, like the Nate Bargatze podcast, which is really good. The Nate Land podcast. But like there's some days where I'll put on worship music and the kids and I will just like sing to the top of our lungs, like nothing but worship music. And then I also have that music to clean to playlist that we listen to. But so you mentioned karaoke and singing in the car. If you ever go out to like a karaoke place, like what's your go-to song that you're gonna sing?
Oh, that's a good question.
I know.
Man. So for my 30th birthday, we went karaokeing. What did I sing that night? Golly, I don't know.
You don't have you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Now growing up when we would go on vacation, there was a karaoke place that we would go to down at Broadway at the beach.
Yeah.
And so every time we went, I sang. Let me think. They changed their name now. I think they're the Chicks now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I would always
Formerly
sing
known as Dixie
"Let Her
Chicks.
Rip" by them, or "Sin Wagon." That was my 2 songs that I would always sing.
Yeah.
By the Chicks. That's what I used to sing every time we went there. I also really, really, really like to do Sir Mix-a-Lot. Baby Got Back.
Ain't no shame in that. That's good. I worked in a karaoke bar for God knows how long.
Oh my gosh, it'd be so much fun.
No, it was terrible. It was an absolute nightmare. Because you'd get a couple people a night that just like killed it, but then the majority of the time it was pretty
Awful.
bad.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. And then obviously, during that time, like I was an alcoholic, so I'm just sitting there but I would get up there, and if it would just be a night of like nothing but people singing slow, sappy love songs,
Yeah,
just
now I could see that
killing
being a struggle.
killing the mood, I would get up there and I would do stuff like "Come On Eileen" by the Dexy Midnight Runners. Just try to pick up the mood. I would do some Maroon 5. Erica's favorite song because she worked there for a little bit whenever we first met. Was Sunday Morning by Maroon 5. But it was just the most random, like off the wall stuff most of the time that I would find. Like Hungry Like a Wolf by Duran Duran. Like old stuff, but kind of like 80s
stuff.
poppy stuff.
Yep.
She Sells Sanctuary by The Cult. Like just stuff just to help pick up the
pace.
Pick up the pace. But yeah, it's funny because I went on a staff trip whenever I was at the church in Alabama, and we went to a restaurant and they had karaoke there, and everybody was like egging me on to do it. And I was like, I really don't want to do this.
I love karaoke. I actually, back in the day when we had the Wii, actually I still have them. I found them this morning. That's really random, but I have the Wii karaoke.
Yeah.
And so we would do like Wii karaoke all the time. Loved it. It was my favorite thing ever. I love it.
I feel like they missed an opportunity to just say karaoke.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, that'd have been good. But moving right along. Yeah. Let's get back on track.
Okay.
What makes you laugh the most?
I don't know. What makes me laugh the most?
Yes.
I guess it depends. Like, it really just depends.
Yeah.
I mean, last week Cheryl and I had a whole laughing fit in my office for like an hour.
I heard y'all.
It was hysterical. And I think it's just like, it depends on the situation, but like, I think good conversation, like people that know you and know how to make you laugh. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I also really love to watch movies that I know are going to make me laugh no matter how many times I've seen them. So if I need a good laugh, I have those like go-to movies that I can like go to, which is like old school Adam Sandler. I love old school Adam Sandler, like Billy Madison. I actually watched that this weekend. It was on TV.
Yeah.
And I can quote the whole thing and still laugh. Like it's the funniest. I just love that movie so much. But there's things like that, but then also things that other people say, like, I don't know, that's weird, but like, I think working in kids ministry, you never know what is going to be said. And so there are times where like laughter is just truly the best medicine because you don't know what's going to come out of the kids' mouths. So kids are hysterical.
It is random.
I wish I would have been here it was about a month or so ago. I had gone out of town and I got a text message from one of the ladies and the kids were talking about idolatry. Idolatry.
Yeah.
And so they were talking about like idolatry is choosing something else above God. And so she had asked what was idolatry. And the kid said, that's where my mama goes and buys all that stuff. I'm like, what? She's like, yes. And I said, not the Dollar Tree, idolatry. And so like I was cracking up when they told me that. So like little things like that are hysterical. Like I don't know why, but I just think like those funny things, like when kids don't necessarily realize like what they're saying, it's hysterical. Olivia, when we went on her birthday trip, she was trying to text my cousin. And I have Siri, like I can use talk to text in my car. And so when I use talk to text in my car, I'll have to say, hey, Siri, text, whoever. Mm-hmm. And then I'll actually say what I need to say. But when you're talking to Siri, you have to include the like exclamation point or period so that she knows when to like
it's not one big giant
it's not
run
one
on
big
sentence.
run on sentence. So Olivia she had my phone and we were driving to Indiana and she's texting my cousin Alyssa to tell Alyssa that we're almost there. Like we're like an hour away. And so we might have been shorter than that, but she's texting Alyssa to tell her that we're like really close. And so she's using the voice text on the phone and not Siri. So voice text is different. And so she's saying, hey, Alyssa, exclamation point. We're almost to your house, period. And so instead of putting an exclamation point and a period, Siri's actually spelling it out. And I'm like, Olivia, that's not how that works. And she's like, that's how you do it. And so like every time she was doing it, she kept doing, she wasn't using voice text. She was using the voice memo. So like she was actually recording the message and sending it. And so I was like, you sound silly. And she's like, well, that's what you do. And I said, but I'm not using my voice to send. Like I'm not sending it in the actual voice memo. Like you're sending a voice memo and you're telling Alyssa, hey, we're almost there, exclamation point. Like Siri's not typing it out for you. You're saying it. And I laughed for forever over that because she was just like exclamation point, period. Like
there was this, they were releasing the kids this past Sunday. And one of the little kids looks up at the grandfather who's picking them up. I don't want to share names or anything like that, but one of the kids looks up at the grandfather and he says, "Grandma's in adultery." Mm-hmm. And I'm watching this play out. I'm going, what in the world? Like, are they teaching in the kid? Because I'm picking up my kids too. And he was like, "What are you talking about? Grandma's in adultery." And so, like, he was like, "Well, Grandma chose something else besides coming to church, and so she's in adultery." And it was supposed to be idolatry, yeah. But the look on the face whenever he was like, "Grandma's in adultery," and it was like, "What is going on?"
Last year during Jingle Jam practice, we were doing a little devotional at the beginning of practice. And so I can't even remember what the devotional was actually, but it was something about like how God created us and he created us each unique and in our own way. And like we were created in his image, but like none of us are the same. Like I'm different from you. You're different from me. Like all of those things. And we have this one kid and he raises his hand. He's like, "Wait a minute. I thought our parents made us, And he's like, he goes, like with their genes. And I get tickled and I can't look at him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, turn away right now. So April is standing there and April goes like, she sees that I'm about to lose it. And so she like intercedes and she like, well, da, 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 da. She's going on and on. And out of nowhere, my nephew is in the back of the room and he raises his hand and he goes, "Jeans? I don't wear jeans." And I lost it. I was done. I was like, that's not even what we're talking about. Like, what are you like? I truly don't know what's going to come out of their mouths sometimes. Yeah. Like, it is the funniest thing. I had a kid in Kansas City. That got mad. He refused to get out of the van one day. We were picking him up from school. He had a really bad day. And I said, "Alaric, get out of the van now. You can't tell me what to do. I'm going to blow you up." And he's going on and on and on. I'm like, dude, get out of the van. Like, you have two options. You either get out of the van or I'm going to get you out of the van. Like, those are your only options. He's like, "Then you better get me out the van." And I was like, okay, I will. So I pick him up, get him out of the van. We get all the way down to the door. And he's grabbing me by, like, my hair. And he looks at me and he's like, "I'm going to rip your weave out your head." I lost it. I was done. And I'm like... And with me laughing, it threw him off his game because he was like in this bad mood. I mean, the school had already called for me to come and pick him up. It was awful. And so it threw him off when I started laughing. And he's like, I said, "Are you good now?" He said, "Yeah, you could put me down." And he walked right on in the building. But like, I'm just like, where did you come up with this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, what in the world? What in the world? Like, the things that kids say are always the funniest.
Absolutely. It's just so completely random.
It is.
If you have to pick a favorite fast food chain, what fast food chain would that be?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A? Hands down.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
It is a good one.
I think I'd get tired of chicken, though.
Well, not me. I love chicken.
I mean,
I'm
like
a picky
chicken.
eater, so chicken is my go-to.
What's your favorite thing to order from Chick-fil-A?
A number one, no pickle with a large sweet tea, 1 mayonnaise, and 4 ketchup.
No Chick-fil-A sauce?
No.
Get out of here.
No.
Get out of here.
I like the mayonnaise and the ketchup.
Have you tried any of the other sauces?
Yeah. I just really like the mayonnaise and the ketchup.
Dude, but their fries are like the best with the Chick-fil-A sauce.
I'm not a fan.
What?
I know.
I don't even. We need to pray for you. Goodness gracious. Chick-fil-A sauces. I mean, we buy it at the Kroger, and you can get you buy the big bottles of it, and we put it on stuff at the house.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be Chick-fil-A.
I could eat Chick-fil-A every day. It doesn't bother me. Now, I will say, though, I do love their grilled nuggets. The grilled nuggets at Chick-fil-A are delicious. If you haven't
their
had
food
them.
is good.
It is.
I don't know that I could eat it every day.
I love their chicken noodle soup also.
If I had to pick a fast food restaurant, it would probably be Chipotle.
See, I don't think a Chipotle is a fast food.
I mean, you walk through the line, they scoop it all, and then you get it. It's actually probably, depending on the line, it's a lot faster than most
Chipotle is good.
fast food restaurants.
Chipotle
quote
is
unquote.
good. I actually had that for lunch last week.
Dude, it's really
now
good.
I kind of want Chipotle now.
I know. And
thanks a lot, Jared.
But there's options
to go to Chipotle
too.
for lunch.
Yeah. We should all get the staff to go eat Chipotle.
Everybody's going to go to Chipotle today.
But,
I do love that, though. I do like Chipotle. I do love Chick-fil-A. And I'll be honest, though, I love McDonald's. And I know that some people don't like McDonald's, but I love McDonald's. I love McDonald's French fries.
Yeah.
When they are hot, nothing beats good McDonald's French fries.
Yeah.
Nothing.
You know what frustrates me is whenever you go through and you get French fries, and then the ding dong before you orders fries but with no salt, so he makes
So
sure.
then you don't get salt either. Yes, I am right there
drives
with you.
me
Drives me
bananas.
crazy. Because see, if McDonald's fries are done right, you don't need ketchup or anything with them because they're salty and like they're delicious.
Well, you know why they do that, right?
They're so good.
You know why they do that?
No.
It's because they think that if they order fries with no salt, they're going to get a fresh batch of fries. But they're constantly, like, if it sits there for even a short amount of time, they throw them out because they understand. I mean, it's McDonald's. Like, everything is down to a science.
Well, we talked about this the other day, and I don't know if this is on your list, but if we're talking about fast food, my current obsession right now is the McRib. Judge me all you want, but I am obsessed with the McRib. It is my thing. It is my thing.
Scott said it's made out of earlobe meat.
I don't care what it's made out of. When I see the signs for the McRib, my whole day is made.
Do you think that this is like the absolute last time that they're doing the McRib?
It better not be because I will be devastated.
Yeah.
I've probably already had a McRib. I don't even know how many times.
Really?
I love it. I could eat it. I really could. During the McRib season, I could eat a McRib every day. No pickle, no onions. I want just the McRib.
I think I've only eaten it once.
I love it.
And it's legit rib meat, but it's just weird that it comes shaped like it has the bones still in it.
It's so good.
So
I love it.
know.
Paul Blake likes them too.
Yeah.
See, there's some people out there that like them. I like them.
I don't know that I don't know.
I love them.
I don't
get
know.
real excited when I see the rib thing on the thing, whatever.
Sticking with like the food question, what's the weirdest snack you like to eat?
Weirdest snack I like to eat?
Yeah.
Potato chips and mustard.
Like Ruffles and mustard?
Like regular potato chips and mustard. Dip them. It's delicious.
Add that to the things to pray for you about. Goodness. Potato chips and mustard. I have never heard that.
It's delicious.
I've never heard that.
Yep. But they have to be just regular potato chips, just like the Ruffles, Lay's. That's it.
Yeah. Golly. I really don't know what to say.
Don't knock it till you tried it, Jared.
Yeah, okay, I'll try it.
Okay.
But you have to try like one of my weird snacks.
What's that?
Okay. So crunchy Cheetos,
Those are delicious.
love them. Are you? And you obviously you like mayonnaise, right? Mm-hmm. Do you like Miracle Whip?
I don't. I'm one of those people that don't.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to me on that one.
Try crunchy Cheetos with Miracle Whip.
Why do I feel like I've done that before? Like I feel like I have tried that before.
It's my whole family makes fun of me and my mom. My mom eats it.
So my mom eats the potato chips like that. That's
Yeah.
why I eat the potato chips like that.
And Erica laughs at me every single time because she's like, "Hey, I'm going to the store. Do you need me to get anything?" I'm like, "Make sure I've got Cheetos and make sure I've got Miracle Whip," because it's just one of those things that I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
I'll try it.
And I'll try
I'm not
potato
obsessed
chips with
I
mustard.
mean, I'm not. It doesn't make me want to vomit thinking of it because I will eat the other stuff like that.
Yeah, it's people. I find that everybody has something weird that they like to snack on.
Yes, I love potato chips. I'm telling you, potato chips and mustard. Just regular mustard, no, not like honey mustard or anything.
Yeah.
Just regular like French's mustard.
Dude, you know what's like crazy is like whenever you get in like those snack modes and you feel like you're snacking and you eat whatever you've got for like an hour.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy because I feel like trash afterwards because I'll eat like a piece of candy and then I'll eat some banana chips and then we get those freeze-dried green beans. Have you ever had those?
No.
At Kroger, they sell them. They're like freeze-dry these green beans and they put like a little bit of salt on them. So they're like really super
Is it
crunchy.
like the edamame stuff? Is it edamame?
No.
Like the freeze-dried edamame?
I don't know that I've ever had.
Okay.
I usually do like the frozen ones of those and microwave them or whatever. But it's like freeze-dried, so it's like really crunchy, but it's green beans and they put salt on it. And then I'll go into the fridge and I'll whatever's in there, like beverage wise, I'll drink. So if like Erica's got like chocolate protein shakes or whatever in there, I'll drink those. Or like right now it's like eggnog, so I'll drink that. And then I'll make myself a sandwich. And then it's ridiculous. I eat for like a whole hour straight. And it drives me nuts because I'm like, what am I doing?
I'm
with my
normally
life?
not a daytime snacker. Like my snack is like evening. Like when I get home and like after dinner, I feel like I want a snack. But then I never really know what I want. So I pick. Like I might have a little bite of this or a little bite of that, but I never like fully know what I want.
Yeah. That's what I'm
And that's what kills me. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I really want something. I want something salty or I want something like sweet. And then I don't know what I want. So I'm like, oh, I'll take a bite of this. And I'm like, oh, that's not really what I want.
Yeah.
So then I try something else. I'm like, that's not really what I want either. And so then it's just like a bunch of bites of things. And then I never actually fully eat anything because I don't know what I actually want. When really and truly, I probably don't want anything. I'm just bored.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm bored. Like I've gone through the whole lineup of everything streaming or whatever,
No,
and I couldn't find.
I do love a good snack though. That I do love is Chips Ahoy. Like I would rather a Chip Ahoy cookie and milk than Oreos.
I like them both equally
I
the
like
same,
Oreos.
but I love them.
I love Oreos. I want double stuffed Oreos if I have Oreos, but nothing beats Chips Ahoy cookies and milk. Like it is the best thing ever.
Yeah. I like how soft they get and how fast
Yes.
it is. Like
It's
that
my
process
favorite.
is fast. So the faster I can get them in my mouth, the absolute best. But for Oreos, for me, I like Oreos and milk. Like I said, eat probably about the same as Chips Ahoy and milk. But I don't like regular stuff and I don't like double stuff. I need like a 1.5 stuff.
Have you seen those mega stuff?
That's just
That's
absurd.
too much. That kind of makes my mouth hurt. Like that's too sweet.
Yeah. Like I need like a 1.5 stuff. Like I need something in
Love
between.
'em.
Because I feel like the mega stuff used to be like that. Or like the double stuff or
double
whatever.
stuff.
The double
I feel
stuff.
like it's going back to be smaller. I feel like they're smaller again.
I don't know. We just got some because the kids like the double stuff too. And for me, it's still too much. Like I'm weird about ratios. Like I need a good cookie to filler ratio. It's just like with donuts. Like if you have like too much jelly inside of it, then it just becomes like unmanageable. And you're like, what am I doing with my life? Looks like I just murdered something with like all this cherry or strawberry jelly.
I'm not a big donut fan.
Add
I
that
like
to the
Krispy
list.
Kreme donuts. I like Krispy Kreme like glazed donut. They're delicious.
Regular?
There is a place in Parkersburg. It's called JR's Donut Castle. It is delicious. They have like the old school cake donuts. Like they're that cakey batter or
Like
whatever.
really dense.
They're delicious. And they have an Oreo donut there that I absolutely love. But normally I'm not a huge donut fan. If they're here, I'll eat them, but I only like specific ones. I like the Bavarian cream donuts.
Dude, with chocolate on it? Yes.
No,
What?
the white one with the Bavarian cream inside.
Like the powdered?
The
Like powdered,
the white
covered in
powdered
powdered
one
sugar?
with like the Bavarian cream on the inside. I like that one. Now, when we went to New York, golly, I don't know how many times ago it was. A friend of ours went with us, and she got a maple glazed cronut.
Oh, yeah, the croissant donuts. Yeah, those are legit.
I tried it. That was delicious. It was
Yeah.
a maple bacon. That's what it was. And it had legit bacon pieces on it.
Yeah.
And I was shocked as to how good that was.
I
It
can't-
was really, really good.
I can't do the salty and sweet.
Oh, it was delicious.
I like to separate those two. I don't like something salty. I like salty and savory and then put something sweet on it.
I was surprised
just-
as to
I
how
don't-
good it was.
I don't want to do that. So, next question. Because, and I put this down because recently the lottery got so big. It was like up to like close to $2 billion. If you ever won the lottery, what would be some things that you would like to do?
Ooh, pay off all my bills.
obviously debt.
Student loans are astronomical.
Yeah. Okay. After, so let's preface this. After you get done paying off your debt, after you cut the church a check for your tithe,
Yep. What would I do?
Yeah.
I would travel. Hands down, I would travel. I have bucket places that I would love to go, and so I would do that.
Yeah.
I would also just like family trips. Like that's been my big thing right now. Like Landon and I are getting ready to go to an NBA game next week. Like I love doing trips like that, family trips. But traveling to places that I want to see, but don't know if I'll ever get a chance to see. Like I would love to go there. One of my favorite movies growing up was Under the Tuscan Sun. And ever since I saw that movie, I'm like, I want to go to Tuscany. I want to go to Italy. I want to do all of that. So Italy would be on there. Africa. I want to do the whole safari thing. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
So just travel and just go.
Yeah. I've told couple people this, but if I ever won the lottery, you have to play to win, and I don't really play.
I don't play.
But obviously take care of like anything that I've got like outstanding debt wise. Erica's got a little bit of school debt, and we take care of that. And cut the church a check for my tithe. I would buy this huge plot of land somewhere and put my house like right in the middle of it. Take you like at least 20 minutes to drive. As soon as you got on the property.
Driveway.
Yeah, I want to be far away from people, but I want to have like this big giant workshop. So, because I like woodworking, and there's some things that I just can't afford tool-wise or equipment-wise that I'd like to be able to do. I make some little tiny things here and there. I've helped out some friends like with I helped one of my buddies up where we live fix his bed, like one of his kids' beds, like they broke it, and so I helped him fix it, which is great.
Yeah.
But I want to I just want to
tinker.
I want a shop full of tools, and I want to learn to weld.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. Just like stuff like that, because I enjoy working with my hands.
I would probably also just knowing myself, and I'm not saying this like, oh, look at her. Like, just knowing me, I would also want to go and do things for people.
For sure.
Like, that's truly who I am. Like, you can ask anyone. Probably my mom would tell you that the most. Like, I'm probably someone that a lot of people may not realize, but I would give you the literal shirt off my back if I needed to. And so that would be something I would definitely do, as well as just give or like take people places.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that I absolutely loved to do when I lived in Kansas City is, and I think that I took a lot. I think we all take a lot for granted at times. But when I worked in Kansas City, one of the things that I did, we did this all the time, is I tried to make sure that I was taking the kids, because I ran an after school program. And so the summer program was really a chance for me to kind of take these kids and have them experience things that they may never get to experience before. But there were a couple of times that we took people places that they had never been, but I will never forget, I took a 67-year-old lady to a Kansas City Royals game. She had lived in Kansas City her entire life and had never been to see the Royals play, and she lived less than 10 minutes from the stadium. Yeah. So like that was super cool to take Sharon to that game and have her be a part of that and experience that for the very first time.
That's the only professional baseball stadium or whatever that I've ever been to watch
beautiful.
A game.
It's gorgeous.
I watched
the K is absolutely gorgeous.
Watched the Orioles play the Royals. Whenever Cal Ripken was on his farewell tour, Cal Ripken Jr. And so it was really cool to be able to watch that game. And
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I love the K. The K is one of my favorite places there in Kansas City. I lived less than 10 minutes from it, so I got to go to games all the time. Yeah. But to be able to take kids to games like that, like, because I worked for a nonprofit, so like we got to take kids to those games, like not just baseball games, but we got to go to football games also, and like just got to see the kids experience things that they probably never in their life would experience.
For sure.
And like the funny, like not the funniest, but one of the coolest experiences was taking kids to McDonald's. I know that probably sounds really silly, but we had kids that had never ordered for themselves at McDonald's. And so we would take them on like these incentive trips, and they would get to like order for themselves at McDonald's. And then we would go to the movies, and then they would get to play on like the play place or things like that. And I will never forget, this lady came up to us one time at a McDonald's, and she said, "Are all these kids yours?" And I had like 15 kids. And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, they're not mine. Like, I
What do you
run an
think, I live in a
after-school
shoe?
program. Like, yeah, I was an old lady. No. But I was like, no, I run an after school program. I was like, we're bringing them here. Like, this was their incentive trip for reading or whatever. And she was like, they're having so much fun. She said, it makes me miss when my kids were that age.
Yeah.
So as we started talking to the kids that day, that was the first time that 5 or 6 of those kids had ever been to a McDonald's,
Man,
or been able to play in a play place at a McDonald's.
that's crazy.
And it took me back, because like when we were kids, we lived up Mink Shoals, and there was a Hardee's up Mink Shoals, and every Saturday morning we would go to that Hardee's, and there was a play place. We had friends that we would all meet up. It was like that old man's club that meets at McDonald's and drinks their coffee. We were the family club that would meet up at that Hardee's and eat breakfast. And that there was a play place there, and we would go and we would play and we would hang out. And that's what it took me back to. And I thought something as simple as like playing in the play place at McDonald's is something that someone else has never experienced. And so I would love to be able to like allow people to experience those firsts that maybe they'll never get the chance to do. And just to know that you were with them when they did that. Like, I think that's just really cool.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Would you rather win the lottery or work at the absolute perfect job?
Oh, can I do both?
Yeah.
Can I do both? Gosh, that one's hard.
Yeah, because there's fulfillment in both of them.
Yes. So here's what I'll say. I feel like if you win the lottery, you're going to have a lot of friends that are going to come out of the woodwork, and family that be like, remember?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So for me, I think it would be like finding that absolute like dream job, because then you would kind of feel like you'd won the lottery.
Yeah.
Like if you enjoy getting up and going to work every day, and everything is the way, I don't know. I think it would probably be finding the, what was it? Finding the perfect job. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Their dream job.
Would you rather win the lottery or work at the absolute perfect job?
I think absolute perfect job.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with the lottery, there's so much like, with that, there would be so much like, I don't know, like, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. There's just a lot of unknown there.
Yeah. Well, and with acquiring or coming across such a large sum of money, there's a lot of headache that comes with it, because you would have to obviously have a lawyer probably on retainer for the rest of your life, because there would be just quite a few people that would be coming after you saying, oh, that one time that we talked about, going whatever, if you won the lottery, like I'd take care of you. Like there's those types of people that come out, and then there's a lot of scam artists that, hey, I've got this business idea, and
when
I've
I was
got
in
this and that.
College, my uncle always told me if he won the lottery, he was going to buy me a Spider, like the car.
Yeah.
And I still tell him to this day, like, hey, just so you know, if you win the lottery, you still have to buy me that Spider.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I think I would be on the perfect job as well, because obviously with like an absolute perfect job, it's the fulfillment of what you're doing because you absolutely love it. But also at the same time, like with a perfect job, like the financial security that comes from it, like every aspect of this job is perfect. So it would probably be the job, because as amazing as getting a windfall like that sounds, like, because you think of the immediate, like, okay, I'm going to get out of debt. I get to do things, like I get to take my family on things and places that we've like dreamed about. Like, we have our bucket list of things that we would like to do as a family. But then after that, the headache of
people
trying to manage all of that. Yeah.
Ugh,
it's just overwhelming.
That stresses me out thinking about it.
Yeah, for sure. Do you like or do you dislike surprises?
Depends what kind they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time, yeah. They don't bother me. But it definitely depends on what they are.
Well, which kind of surprises do you dislike?
The bad ones.
Thanks. Thank you for that. My life is I'm changed for the better from that profound statement.
You're welcome. You're so welcome.
But if you could think of like bad surprises, obviously like, pop tires and stuff like that. I'm talking like somebody went out of the way and they're like, I'm going to surprise Jess and she's going to really like this. And then you're like, in your mind, you're like, this is a bad surprise.
Oh, I don't know if I would do that.
Okay. What if somebody said there's this new company that came out and you know how they do the fruit floral arrangements, but it's vegetables. That's a bad surprise. And they said, look, it's got celery. It's got all these things. like it's a new company, a new startup. And they're like, I think this is going to be a great idea. And they drop it off and they're like, why don't you take a bite? And you're like, I don't like raw vegetables. Like there's some I like that are raw. Like I like raw bell peppers and whatever, but I don't like raw broccoli or raw celery. And that would be a bad surprise. Like,
I'm struggling because just knowing myself, I would never tell someone like, I would just not be like, oh, that's not really a surprise. My response would be like, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And then when they left, I'd be like, well, that was weird. I'm thinking, so when I think of surprise, I think like when I thought of bad surprise, I was thinking like someone scaring me. Like that's what I was thinking. Like that's a bad surprise.
See, that's a bad surprise.
That's what I would say when I get like Ernie Hedrick. Dude, he gets me all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. He thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. And it is normally. But like that, like, I scream every single time. He actually was in here a couple weeks ago and was like, oh, if I'd have known you were in your office, I'd have been by there to scare you. And I'm like, I'm glad you didn't know I was in my office.
Yeah. Because
he gets me all the time.
This is going to sound really weird, but it's a bad surprise for me is whenever someone's like, hey, I got you something. I'm like, fantastic. Like, thank you so much for thinking of me. And it's an article of clothing. Like, it drives me nuts.
Why?
Because it's typically something that I would more than likely not wear.
Okay, yeah.
And I feel bad because I'm like in my mind, I'm looking at this and I'm going, I don't know that I'll ever wear this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that.
Like,
I get that.
it. Like, I feel like it there's a lot of like wrestling with myself, like internally, because I know that they mean the absolute best.
Yeah.
But knowing myself,
yeah.
Like I don't I struggle with the argument that goes on, and I'm like, gosh, like I've got to wear this at least. I got to wear this at least once around.
No, I understand. I understand that though. That makes complete sense. Like those things, and I don't want to say that I get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that. I also don't necessarily think it's a bad surprise, I guess. But like, I always feel bad when someone is like, especially around the holidays, they're like, oh, look, I brought you a gift. And I'm like, thanks.
Like I made
And then I'm like, oh my gosh,
you.
I didn't get them anything. Yeah. Like that's where my head goes. Like, I didn't get them anything. I didn't know they were getting me anything. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Like my head goes to that. So like that, I don't necessarily think that's a bad surprise, but it's one of those things that like stresses me out. Like when someone gets me something, especially like around the holidays, like someone gets me something, then my knee-jerk reaction is like, I got to get them something now too, just because that's where I'm at. But I'm trying to get better with that because I had someone tell me like, I didn't get that for you so that you would get me something else. Like I got that for you because I just wanted to get you that. So like I'm trying to get better at that.
Yeah.
Somebody told me once that it's like robbing people of their blessings or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not trying to rob you of your blessing. I just feel bad when you buy me something and I didn't get you anything.
Yeah.
Like And it's not that I didn't want to get you anything. I just didn't think about it. Like,
Yeah.
So thank you, but that stresses me out sometimes.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I always appreciate it. I'm
For
very
sure.
appreciative of it. But it always is like one of those things for me where I'm like, I feel bad. I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
that's so nice. And then in my head, I'm like, but you don't have anything for them. And then I have to remind myself, like, that's not what it's about, Jessica. Like, chill out. Like, it's not what it's about.
The worst too is the worst feeling is whenever someone like they're like, oh, I made this for you, like put a lot of time and effort, like this design I came up with, and then they put it on a shirt and the shirt's like a small. Like look, for some reason, if you've never seen what I look like and you only listen to this through like podcast apps or whatever, like I understand, like I'm a thin guy, like I get it.
You're more of a schmedium, right?
No. I'm tall.
You are tall.
So,
you are tall.
Like, and so I wear like a large because it's got to fit from shoulder because I've got a lot of torso.
Right.
And so, like, if I'm worshiping or something like that, and I lift up my hand,
you don't want a midriff.
Don't want to. No, I don't.
You don't want that.
I don't.
Neither does anyone else. You got to keep it covered.
Yeah. It's part of like in our worship handbook. Like we just don't want to cause distractions.
Right.
How good or bad they can be. But they're like, you're looking at it and you're like, there is no way like I'm going to be able to fit in this. And I don't have the heart to tell people like this is the wrong size.
Yep.
And what's even worse is like a couple weeks go by and they're like, hey, I haven't seen you wear the shirt yet. You're like, well,
I shrunk it.
Yeah. Nolan's wearing it now.
When my grandma, my dad's stepmom, which she was like my grandmother.
Yeah.
But anyways, my mom, Mary, she had dementia, and I was in high school, and my grandpa decided to let her be the one to buy Christmas gifts one year while she has dementia. And for some reason, she thought that I was still in elementary school.
Yeah.
And she bought me this really cute, tiny, itty bitty, small, very, very small Christmas sweater that had bows all over it. And like, it was the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I will never forget opening that. And I was like, what the heck is this? And then my grandpa was like, Mama bought that for you. And I was like, oh, that makes more sense. She doesn't know who I am. Like,
yeah.
She still thinks I'm 5.
Yeah.
But it just was it was the funniest thing. I pulled it open, and I'm probably like 16 at this point in time. And I'm like, does she really, like, what the heck is this? Like,
yeah.
But I was like, oh, thank you so much. Like, that is so sweet. We took it back. Like, it was really bad. My grandpa was the worst at giving gifts anyways. I don't know if Scott's ever talked about that, but like.
No, he hasn't.
Oh my gosh. Listen, my grandpa was the worst gift giver in the world. And like, he would get stuff like literally just like he didn't know Scott and I. Like, he didn't really have a really good relationship with Scott and I. When we were little and my mama Mary was alive, he did have a better relationship with us than what he did when he was older and she was gone. But he didn't really know us. And so, like, it always was the joke growing up of what gift Scott was going to get. Because Scott would get, like, you remember those old socks, like the old basketball socks that came up to your knees that had the red and blue stripes around them?
Yeah.
Scott got those for Christmas almost every year. It was awful. Like, that's what Scott got. One year, Scott got this felt. It wasn't even fleece. It was felt. A felt. Scott was in college when he received this, okay? A felt blanket, felt, with flames and motorcycles on it.
What? That's so random.
It's the weirdest thing ever. I got chocolate covered cherries one year, like just a legit box of chocolate covered cherries. Yeah. So it was always like these random things. It was almost like, oh, guess I got to get my grandkids a gift. Like,
yeah.
What's at Dollar General?
Yeah. Like what's on the clearance?
We were always appreciative, you know, but it was always just like, what the heck is this? The blanket though, the felt blanket that Scott got that year was the icing on the cake. Like that was Scott is probably a junior in college when he got this blanket, and he holds it up and he's like, what in the world? Like, it was awful.
I wonder if he still has it.
He does not. He can tell you that story another time. He does not have that blanket.
Goodness.
I don't think we have anything left from what he would buy.
I'd have kept them socks, though.
He has said, he and my dad both have said they wish they still had some of those socks.
For sure.
So,
yeah.
but when you're 7 and you're getting those kinds of socks, you may not think those are so cool.
Yeah.
I got my cousin a pair of socks or something one year for Christmas, and oh no, it was underwear, because that's what his mom said to buy him. He was like 5. And his mom said to get him clothes and underwear, and he picked them up. He was like, underwear, not cool, and threw them behind him. It's like, thanks, Ethan. Thanks, bud.
So a little bit more of a serious question. What is your biggest fear?
Ooh, that's a good one. I
know it's like a vulnerable question.
Yeah.
Too,
so I would say that my biggest fear is something happening to my parents, because I am single, and I always worry that if something happens to them, then I mean, I know I have Scott and Megan, but I won't have anybody. So that's probably my biggest fear. And I know those of you that are listening are probably like, oh, that's awful. Because when I tell people that, they're like, oh, you've got, and I get that I have people around me, but I just would not have the 2 people that are there for me every single day.
Yeah.
So that's probably my biggest fear.
Yeah. And it's legit. Like,
and we don't have a huge family. Like I don't have any grandparents. I haven't had grandparents in years. And then my mom has siblings, and they all live in different parts of, like, one lives in Elkins, and then I have an uncle that lives in Tennessee, and his family lives there. And then I have cousins and uncles that live in Indiana, but like nobody else is here, just Scott and Megan. And so if something were to happen, I just feel like that's probably my biggest fear. Like, what am I going to do? 'Cause it's just me. So I wouldn't have a home to come home to for Christmas, because they are my home that I'm at all the time. So I think that's my biggest fear. And I know the older I get that something, could potentially happen, and they know that, like, they know that that's my biggest fear too. So
yeah, super understandable and relatable too. Obviously, just losing family members, obviously, it's I think I've talked more about this in the past week than I have ever since I've, like, not lived in Texas. But just not being around my family as much as I would like is always been like a struggle. And so I was sharing this at Life Group, and I see my parents twice a year. One time they come up, and then one time we go down. And my dad's 67. I think he turned 68 this year. And so I just look at it like, if he lives another 12 years, just rounded up to being 80, and I only see him 2 times a year, I essentially only have like 24 more times that I get to see my family, my dad or my mom, just, or whatever. And so just like making those times and those moments that we are together, trying to just have all the conversations that I need to have. Because I was a piece of crap for a large part of my life, and so I'm there. I still feel like I'm trying to work towards like some sort of reconciliation between myself and my parents. I still get like the other day, my parents found out that we have another dog, and they weren't particularly excited about it, but at the same time, like, I'm 39, I'm an adult, and so it's just like conversations that I have, like, with them. It's like, why are we getting upset that I have another stinking dog? Like, can we not just have like a good conversation?
Right.
And so, like, a fear of mine is that the last conversation that I have is that my mom or my dad is going to be upset with me because I got another dog.
Right.
Like, that's stupid and very mundane, and And it's weird that I feel like I have to keep like stuff like that from them, because I don't want the last conversation that I have is for them to be upset that I got another dog.
Right. No, that's understandable.
And so that's a legit fear of mine, is that I'm going to carry that for the rest of my life, that they were frustrated that I got another dog. It's so stupid.
It's not stupid. It's not stupid and silly, because I do think that it's one of those things, like, you don't know. Like, we don't know. We don't know what tomorrow holds. And so I don't think that that's stupid. I think it is something that we do have to be intentional about, is those conversations, and when we have them. And I think the reason that I think that, and I don't know if Scott struggles with this or not, but I know that for me, like, one of the things that is constantly on my mind is that, like, my grandparents, my mom's mom died when she was 66. Yeah. My mom just turned 60. And so, like, that's only 6 years from now. So that scares me. And then my dad's mom was not much older than that. Like, they were both in their 60s when they died. And, like, my dad has even said he just turned 60. He just turned 61 in May. He'll be 62 this coming May. And he's the first of his siblings to make it to 60. And that was a big deal for him. Yeah. And so, like, right that whole year when he was 59, like, he kept making comments about, like, well, hopefully I'll see 60. None of my other siblings have. And, you know, so there's been, like, things like that kind of make me still have that kind of fear of, like, oh my goodness, what if something happens? And then this past, 3 weeks ago, my dad had a heart cath and all that stuff. Well, then that week, all of a sudden, it's like, what in the world are you doing? And they're starting to plan their funerals, and they're starting to, like, do all of these things. And I'm like, I need y'all to stop. Like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. And so it's just like those things, like, I have to realize that, like, I'm not getting any younger and they're not getting any younger. And so, like, there is going to come a time where, you know, someone is possibly not going to be here. So I think that is a big fear. And so I know people probably don't understand, like, why am I always with my parents, or why am I always with, you know, my family? It's because I lived out of state for almost, between college and Kansas City, I was gone for almost 15 years. Yeah. And so, like, I missed a lot of time with my family. Landon and Olivia are the reason that I came back here. Yeah. And if I can spend as much time with them as possible, I'm going to do that, because I know that we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And there has been so many times where, like, I missed a lot. And I think that's probably why I put my family first in most things, is because when in 2004, when my mama passed away, I was in college. I was at Mount Vernon. I was about 3.5 hours away. And I was supposed to come home that weekend from school, and I didn't. And so that Saturday, I had kept calling and could not figure out why no one was answering the phone. Come to find out, my mama was at home unresponsive, and my mom had been trying to call her too. Finally, when I get through, my mom answers the phone. I can tell something is wrong, and I'm told that she's got to go, that she's called 911. The ambulance just got here, and she's been found unresponsive. And so I carried that for a long time. Like, I, for some reason, thought that I could have changed that. Had I been home, I would have been there, you know, whatever the case may be. And that's not true. Like, that's just not true. And then fast forward to 2010, when Jamar died, which is the student that I had that was killed in Kansas City. The last conversation that I had with him was kind of what you were just saying. It was one of those things of, like, he had come in, he was mouthy that day, which most 16-year-olds can be. And he was mouthy that day. And I brought him into my office, and I told him, I said, Jamar, you don't talk to me like that. Like, you and I have a good relationship. Like, I'm not sure what the deal is, like, whatever. And he and I are having this conversation. And we were in my office for probably over an hour talking about his behavior and just all these things. And then it comes out that he's got a lot going on. Like, he thought he was about to be a dad, and he wasn't sure. And so he was scared, and all these things were going on in his life. And so I told him, I said, be better. Tomorrow, be better. Like, that was the last thing I said to him, was tomorrow, be better. And I opened the back door and watched him walk out across the back field. And that was the last time I saw him. I got the call 4.5, 5 hours later that he had been killed. And so it's one of those things where, like, I try my best to make sure that my conversations are meaningful. Like, I'm so thankful that that last thing I said to him wasn't just like, I'm really disappointed in the way that you were behaving.
Yeah.
Like, because I was disappointed in the way he was behaving. But before he left my office that day, he knew like I cared about him and I wanted him to do better.
Yeah.
And he was like, I will. I'll be better tomorrow. I'll be better tomorrow. And so it's those things like that. Like, I can't sit here and harbor those like what ifs. And I couldn't change it. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't change anything on either of those types of things. And so just being aware of those things, I think for me, that's why I'm so into like making sure those things are the way they are. And even like when I lived in Kansas City, I think back to 2013 when Landon was born, here I am 14 and a half hours away. I'm driving home to see my first nephew.
Yeah.
And I'm not told until I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, that he's in the NICU. And I didn't know why family wasn't sending pictures. I was real confused. They didn't send them to me. They didn't tell me anything because they knew I was traveling. And so then the first, 10 days, I think it was, he was in the NICU. And so I left here not knowing not knowing anything.
Yeah.
So I only saw him for 4 days, and every time I saw him, he was in the NICU and no one could hold him or touch him or do anything. And then I left and had to go back home. And so, that was when I realized like, I don't want to miss anything else. Like, I don't want to be the person that has to get the phone call that says, hey, something's happened to so-and-so. Like, you need to go home. And so God definitely opened the doors to bring me back here because I had been trying for a couple of years to try to get back to West Virginia and I just couldn't find the right job or, whatever. And then I found the job that was able to get me here and I was able to just be able to be part of their lives. And so like, I thank God every day for that because I don't know where I would have been had I still been in Kansas City. And just knowing all of the things that I know now and just everything that I've had the privilege of experiencing with my family, with my mom and my dad, and even Landon and Olivia, like I would have missed out on a lot and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. And I didn't mean to, I know my mom, she watches this and listens to the podcast. And I know that she probably is feeling like, oh God, he's airing out dirty laundry. No, that's never like my intention. It's and I know that she wants the absolute best for me. And I've always been super appreciative of their support and their love because whenever I was getting off of drugs and I randomly showed up to their, because my mom used to be my dad's secretary, and I showed up at my dad's office and my mom was like, hey, whoa, you look pretty rough. And I had enough. And so I just kind of put my back up against the wall and slid down. And she's like, what's going on? I was like, I just need to move out of the house that I'm in and I don't know what I'm going to do. And she was like, well, you can come and live with us, move back in. I said, that's fantastic. She goes, he's still at work. He's still got some things he's got to do, but after work, he'll help you move. I was like, I've got everything I want, like in my truck.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to ever like step foot back in that environment, in that situation again. And so they helped me a lot, and I know that they want the absolute best for me. It's just some of the conversations. It's like I'm okay to make my decisions on what's best for me now because I'm of a clear mind.
Yeah.
And
I would say too, and I could be wrong, but I would say too, like you just said, like you want to make the most of every conversation. Like you want those conversations to be meaningful, and you want those conversations to, to be ones that you can look back on and be like, man, that was a good conversation, or that was a good time. So I think that your mom would probably understand that. I've met your mom a couple times.
Yeah, she's great.
She is.
My parents are fantastic people. And
you really do have awesome parents.
And so I just want to always every conversation that I have with them, it's just always a good one.
Yeah.
And I think just the fear is just, I just had some crap phone call. And then I get another phone call that says, hey, so-and-so is not here anymore. Like, I just don't want that.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to live with that type of, like, that always being on the back of my mind. Every time I look at a picture of them, just like, how come we couldn't just be excited about certain things
and
or whatever.
I feel that 100%. Like you said, I've felt that in 2 situations. And so I know how important that is. And so that's why I feel like I try my best to make sure that like the conversations that I have with the people that I care about are meaningful. And if there is those issues, then I am doing my best, like, to try to resolve them as much as possible, because I don't want to get to a point where I did, 10, 12 years ago when Jamar died, because I questioned that last conversation I had with him for a long time. Because I was like, man, did he leave thinking that like I was mad at him? Like, did he leave thinking that like, and so it took a long time for me to get to a point where I was like, you know what? No, like there was never anything that you said that was, one, not true, but 2, that he couldn't have left that conversation and known that there was still love there. Like there was still someone that loved him and cared for him, even in the midst of that frustration. I was ready to kill him that day. It really was.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was a bad day. But even in the midst of all of that, he still knew that I cared, and he still knew that like I had his back no matter what. And for kids, that's a huge thing, especially for kids that don't have that a lot. That was a big thing. So,
well, we got one more got enough time for one more question, and it's the random one.
Bum, bum, bum.
This is Scott's biggest fear. Is
that mystery meat?
This one is not one of mine. It says, what's in your glove box in your car, and are gloves one of the items? Who wrote this?
Absolutely not.
This is Anna. Whose handwriting is this?
Let me see.
Or is that Megan?
I don't know if that's Megan or Anna. I don't think it's Cheryl's. It doesn't look like Cheryl's. It might be. I don't know. It's not mine. What's in my glove box? Junk. I got cough drops. I just opened my glove box yesterday. That's why I know this. There's cough drops in there. There are pins in there. There are the papers from the car dealership that are in there. My insurance card is in there. I have an aux cord in there. Sunglasses. I think one of those ice scraper thingies. And probably a bunch of random other stuff.
Yeah, mine is paperwork, obviously, for the car. I've got a couple of tools in there in case something happens.
Oh, I do have that tire pressure thing in there. Like the tire checker, that thing.
Yeah.
That's in there too.
Yeah, I got one of those in there. So some random tools, and I've got zip ties.
I needed some of those on Sunday. Now that I know they're in your glove box, I'll come back and get you.
Yeah, it was, well, probably not the best that a kids pastor says that she needs zip ties.
A kid kept losing his pants. I was going to zip tie his pants together, and I couldn't find any zip ties in the back. And I'm like, where in the world? So I told him, I said, next time you need a belt, I'm going to find some zip ties. I couldn't find any in the back.
Yeah. I just have this like irrational fear. Like if something falls off of my car, I need to be able to zip tie it back on. It's so stupid. Like I try to think of things like before they happen, but no, I don't have gloves. And then I've got a stack of like fast food napkins.
Oh, I do think I have napkins in there.
So, cause you never know, like if
it's like that. Well, you wouldn't have this, but it's like that. What's in your purse? Like you never know what's in there.
Yeah.
I think I do have napkins in there, and I think I have like those wet wipe things.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I think those are in there, but I don't know why. But I think I saw a green pack of them in there.
Yeah. With the napkins, you don't know if you're ever gonna have to like check your oil, like if it's getting low. Like whenever I like about every other time that I fill up, I always check the oil and check some of the other fluids in the car, and always want to do that. But right now, like it's like sniffle season. You know, like the kids are always sniffling.
Awful.
And so they're going through those like hot knife through butter.
I just put not napkins. I just put tissues in my car for that very reason. Yeah. Every time we get in the car and I've got hiccups all of a sudden. Yeah. Every time we get in the car and Landon and Olivia are in there, they're like,
Yeah.
You got any tissue? And I'm like, no, because you done used all my daggone tissue stash from the glove box. So I just got a box of tissues from the house the other day and put them in there.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was fun.
It was fun.
It was good.
Got a little deep there at the end. Thanks,
It
Jared.
did. Yeah. Well, look.
But that's okay. That's okay.
It is okay.
It is okay.
Mom, I love you. I really do, Mom. I know you're
does.
looking at my big, beautiful blue eyes. But I love you. I love you and Dad tremendously. And I hope I didn't upset you with what I said. I think the world of y'all. But anyways, Pastor's Potluck.
That's it.
Never know what you're going to get.
You don't.
And I didn't expect to go deep with that either.
I know.
Goodness gracious.
That's all right.
But we love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, opening up a little bit more of what makes Pastor Jess and myself kind of tick, and some of our favorites, and what makes us laugh, and what we're going to do if we ever come across a big briefcase full of money.
It's like Oprah. You get some money and you get some money.
Yeah. Dude, I always wanted to be on that
I
show.
did too.
All righty, guys. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
We'll see you next Friday for another episode of the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Y'all have a good one. Thank you so much for listening in with us today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. And you can also watch the video version of this on YouTube as well. All you have to do is search up the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. From all of us here, we want to say thank you, and we'll see you next week.